My name is Matt Graves, and this is my wife, Melissa. After our son Lane passed away unexpectedly, Melissa and I started the Lane Thomas Foundation in his name. We created the Lane Thomas Foundation to help these children that are going through organ transplant. We found a need that no one was helping these families.
We want to do everything possible to keep these families together. Most times, a parent and sometimes a single parent has to leave their job.
We've been able to help so many families, and with continued support, we really can make a difference from across the nation.
Your first thought is the medical challenges that your child is having to go through, and that's the challenges of being uprooted from your home and your job and the financial situation, because outside these walls, the world does go on.
We try to pay their mortgage back home if they need it, so that child, when they are out of the hospital, can go back to that same environment they were in.
We cry behind doors thinking about the stress back home, trying to be strong for our child, but then inside we're kind of breaking down because we don't know if we're going to be able to pay our utilities back home. The Lane Thomas Foundation saying that we're able to help you pay your rent, it just took a burden off my chest.
Transplant's hard, and it's not quick, and it's really not an easy process.
And for children, that process can be even more diverse and complex because we're dealing with the dynamics not just of a patient, but of an entire family. You know, pediatrics has a special place in most people's hearts. This is really obviously central to the Lane Thomas Foundation and what their reason for existence in terms of what their goals are.
Jonathan was actually 2 months old when they told me that he was going to need a multi-organ transplant. And 9 years later, we hadn't received the call.
We were very surprised that there was over 2,000 children on the waiting list. And out of that 2,000, over 100 of those children are dying waiting. We were also surprised when we found out that if one of these children would have received an organ, chances are they would have survived. The vision of the foundation is that no child dies waiting for an organ.
She was born with a rare condition called biliary atresia. She needs a liver, or else she's not gonna be here much longer. Being a parent and not being able to help your kid is so hard.
Children have special circumstances. Unfortunately, you have to look for a deceased donor that's about the same age and size as that child who might need an organ. And oftentimes there's a lot of limits to that. And so those children will not survive long enough to be able to get that organ transplant.
One child can save up to 8 children from dying.
Jack is alive because somebody said yes, and their child gave my son a liver, a pancreas, and a small bowel. And if they didn't, he wouldn't be here.
Olivia, she became ill and they revealed a mass on her brainstem. Immediately I started thinking about organ donation and why would we not give back?
They told me it was possible he was going to need a heart transplant, that his heart was functioning at 14%.
This little boy is running, playing because of my little girl, and I'm so grateful for that.
Her daughter is alive through my son, so that's keeping love alive.
Matt and I never thought we would lose a child, so we never had a discussion about pediatric organ donation.
The tragedy that we had ended up being a blessing for 3 other families. Organ donation isn't something that anybody really wants to have to think about. Have conversations. Think about the impact that you can actually make on another family.
I don't think that your first thought when you lose your child is, oh, I want to donate their organs, I want somebody else to live on through them. I think there should be a lot of education in regards to pediatric organ transplant.
Every parent had the difficult conversations about how do you deal with other friends, interactions between boys and girls, etc. What about organ donation? In the event of something awful happening, it gives clarity to the decision making.
Matt and I simply ask that you have a discussion now with your partner if the unimaginable happened to you. As a mother, I would give anything to have the opportunity to hear Lane's heart beating in another child. No parent should ever feel the pain of losing a child, especially when this is so preventable.
As a transplant professional, I'm so grateful that there's people like them who can take, a personal tragedy and turn it into this amazing, generous experience to help so many people. And I've already begun to see what they can do, and it's amazing.